Yes, we should start. If you can take place, our distinguished speakers. Hein? J'aime pas les cartoons, les livres peut-être, les annuaires.
If you don't need to go there, you can speak from your place, except one Intabas, because he needs to do something. Where is the UNICEF? UNICEF?
Yes, sir.
You have a.
I asked and they said there's no speaking rules, so that's why I came back.
No, it's not. Your name is not here.
No, because it was not.
Okay. But please, sir. Well, can we?
So
You did not send the name?
No.
You did?
It's
my mistake, sir.
No worries, no worries. No problem at all.
Can we do something?
It's a little bit late.
Okay.
You know, because we didn't receive the name. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for accepting.
No.
Thank you very much.
So,
Bon, so I have not enough things to talk because too many speakers. So let's start with this press conference. I have would invite you to take a seat and to maybe to come a little bit on the front so you can have the microphones in order to ask questions, because on the front row you have microphones if you wish. So I have the pleasure to welcome today here His Excellency Mr. Faisal bin Hassan Tad, who is Ambassador of Saudi Arabia here in Geneva. It's a pleasure to welcome you, His Excellency, for the first time. I hope it will not be the first. It will not be the last one, exactly. So we enjoy to have you here in order to speak of an important project, the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center, the vision, the mission, and the strategy of this relief center, which is not yet well known here in Europe and in Western countries, and I think it's a good initiative to share your views and to be here to speak about that. So we have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Maher HADRAOUI, Mr. Rashid KHALIKOV, Mr. Amin AWAD, Mr. Richard BRENNAN, and the representative of UNICEF.
Sikandar Khan.
Yeah, with our apologize for the name. Now I would like to ask you to sign our golden book and just a signature if you in Arabic in every and I would like now to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Ambassador Tad.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Jimmy Tone, distinguished panelist, Mr. Maher HADRAOUI, the Executive Director of King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center, Mr. Rashid KHALIKOV, the Director of the Office for Coordination of Human Rights, Mr. Amin AWAD, Director of Middle East and North African Operation, United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees, Mr. Rashid BRENNAN, Director, Emergency Risk Management and Humanitarian Response, World Health Organization, Mr. Sikandar Khan, representative of UNICEF, and again, my apologies for late naming. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's given me a great pleasure to be here with you today and with our distinguished panelists to present to you the role of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its global mission in the field of humanitarian aid through the role of the King Salman Humanitarian Center Relief and Humanitarian Center for Relief and Assistance. Islam as a religion of peace, blessing, humanity, and dignity, the government of Saudi Arabia is consistently striving to achieve these very important principles and to help those in need whenever and whatever possible. Excellencies, according to a study by the World Bank, Saudi Arabia have been among the most generous in the world in providing development assistance and humanitarian relief. During the last 4 decades, we donated around 115 billion US dollars to more than 90 countries around the globe. Saudi Arabia is on the top list of 20 countries who provide humanitarian assistance according to international statistics. Last year, Saudi Arabia jumped to the 6th order with a total of around 750 million US dollars. The work of the center is based on beliefs emerging from honorable and noble humanitarian objectives based on providing aid to those who are in need and assisting those subject to disasters worldwide. Excellencies, I don't want to take more of your time. Today, as I said, we have the executive director of King Salman Center, who will give us a broader insight details about the work. And we will take the case of Yemen, humanitarian assistance to Yemen as the main subject. Of course, also, we are proud to have our partners, the OCHA representative and the WHO, the UNICEF, and the High Commissioner of Refugees. I believe that they will also enlighten us about the overall cooperation that between my country, Saudi Arabia, in general, and in the light of the latest development that the King Salman Center have signed, in fact, with each of those organizations, a memorandum of understanding on the support humanitarian aids to Yemen. So without taking any more time, I will give back the mic to our moderator so we can start this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your introduction words. I think it was quite interesting to see what you have just explained to us. And now I have the pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Maher HADRAOUI, who is the Executive Director of King Salman Humanitarian Center. Please, Mr. HADRAOUI. You will speak from there. Okay. Push the button, please. And
Good morning, everybody. called upon to undertake the privilege of addressing you, I avail my humble self of this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation and profound gratitude for granting me part of your valuable time to speak on behalf of a nascent humanitarian organization conveying the vision of a man who believes in the humanitarian action and dispensable part of his life that has extended for more than half a decade. We are speaking about an organization which is based on benevolence and willingness to donate, where a group of women and men are conscious about the fact that behind every hard-working action there is a hidden smile that promises them to be eternal. They will be eternal because of their helpful activities that will go beyond their short life limits. I hope, with much modesty, to present to you the most worthwhile in this presentation and to receive much of your appreciated patience to my English. Also, I would like to thank His Excellency Mr. Faisal Trad, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Saudi Arabia to the United Nations Office at Geneva, for this opportunity, as well to Geneva Press Club. Motivated by its nation values and its leading humanitarian role towards global communities in need, and its realization to the significance and importance of this role to help alleviate human suffering, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, under the wise leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, founded the International King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center on 13th of May 2015 to coordinate external humanitarian aid and relief for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Based on common goals and principles, the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center's strategic objectives and activities is to provide aid without prejudice in the most effective way to those most in need. The center has assigned representation from all governments ministries, including Red Crescent, to facilitate rapid response and coordination. Provision of offices has been allocated to presentation of national and international partners. Next. Appointed His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Rabi'a as a Supervisor General for the Center, our headquarters in Riyadh, and we have many other offices in Jeddah, Sharura, and Aden. Stemming from teaching of Islam, KSA is committed to deliver humanitarian aids to countries of those categories: poor countries, ongoing conflict countries, developing countries, and all of that regardless of religion, race, or geographical location. KS Relief is an international high-ranking center that provides relief to crisis-afflicted communities and aims to alleviate the suffering of those communities through the programs designed and implemented to make others' life better. Next. AIDS and relief are not regionally restricted. They are our ambassadors to the world and the most expressive of our values and human commitment to all the crisis-afflicted communities. Next. KSA has an indispensable role worldwide, especially on the humanitarian level. It has never delayed assistance when needed from neighboring countries or any other country in the world. We will talk now about values, mission, and vision. King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center are seeking to be an international pioneer to share its nation Nobel's value. Next. To help those most in need, provide aid without bias, develop strategic international partnership, apply international standards, ensuring transparency, monitoring the accuracy of delivery. To be pioneering in humanitarian aids and relief activities based on providing aids driven by humanitarian motives and goals, consultation and coordination with international organizations, practicing international criteria in aid programs, punctuality of delivering aids to eligible people in need, high quality of aids and authenticity of sources. Towards humanity with no limits. The mission of the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center is to manage and to coordinate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's external humanitarian relief and development assistance, ensuring support is directed to those most in need across the world without prejudice. KS Relief aims to manage humanitarian cases based on the urgent needs in accordance with international standards. The center aims to work in coordination with national and international strategic partners. And our second part of this presentation will be about Yemen. Next. Yeah. Here we will talk about our plan to Yemen, the Humanitarian and Relief Response Plan. KS Relief is just over 4 months old. Our first directive to provide aid and relief to Yemen and its borders. Next. And our main goals from this plan are to provide assistance to our Yemen brothers and fulfill the urgent humanitarian needs. The plan targets 12 million Yemenis, and the total number of people in need are 21 million Yemenis. This is a 6-month response plan to meet the essential humanitarian needs, and we will update the plan according to the developments in Yemen and the outcomes of this plan. The strategic goals meet the people's demands that are mostly affected, especially in these categories: food security, health, and sanitation. Provide humanitarian emergency assistance to refugees and immigrants. Support the residential areas to restore the means of subsistence and reinforce their abilities to cope with the crisis and the critical humanitarian situation in Yemen. Next. Yeah, here we are talking about the main goals. Next. And identifying the needs. The plan aims to provide essential information about the humanitarian needs, preliminary figures about the allocated funds for each targeted category through international organization evaluations, consultation with active humanitarian bodies in Yemen. And the targeted fields here: food security, health, shelters, and environmental, sanitation, nutrition, protection, coordination. Next. Humanitarian needs in Yemen 21 million people are in need of humanitarian aids, and that is 80% of the population need protection and humanitarian aids. And description of crisis afflicted comments. We have some numbers here about the crisis. Next. Needed funds. You can see here now the needed fund for each cluster. It's humanitarian appeal funds. Next. The overall humanitarian situation, and there is some figures and number about the crisis in Yemen. Children are in need. It's a big fact that children in a very bad situation in Yemen, and so that we have many programs with our partnership to work on that. Next. Identifying priorities, urgent relief to food security, health, water, and housing. Accelerate the urgent humanitarian response plan through implementing the humanitarian activities immediately by the assistance of Saudi humanitarian organization and the partnership of some GOs and NGOs in Yemen. Providing the financial support to the subsistence programs through the international multilateral call for humanity. And before I talk about KS relief achievements, I would like to invite you to watch the following short documentary.
It's humanity that always suffers from catastrophes, conflicts, and destructive wars. Such devastating aftermath impacts the human race worldwide. In response to such suffering, the custodian of the two holy mosques, His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz, initiated the King Salman Humanitarian and Relief Center. Based on the respective teachings and wisdom of Islam, which says provision of support is a must, along with the protection of human life, dignity and resilience, I hereby declare the construction of a foundation and put as the bedrock of this center the concentration on relief and humanitarian aid. Today, the world is confronted with many challenges that impact the resilience and welfare of humanity. Such challenges constantly lead to circumstances that threaten daily life for humanity, and mankind is exposed to disease, starvation, lack of shelter, and loss of educational opportunities and health care. The King Salman Humanitarian and Relief Center was founded as a response, as a supporting arm to provide needed relief for the needy, and highlights the big-hearted and the civilized role shown by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center was established to be the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia arm for alleviating the suffering of human beings at the international community. This center was established to be impartial and also to coordinate its efforts with the UN.
The King Salman Humanitarian and Relief Center was founded to be a pioneer in providing humanitarian aid and transferring our values to the world through our thought management, coordination, and contribution on international level, which assures humanitarian resistance is delivered with fairness. A well-trained team is recruited and operates the King Salman Humanitarian Relief Center. This team is experienced in humanitarian assistance to provide for those in need all over the world, regardless of the situation of those asking for assistance. Our main concern is humanity, the deprived and the weak. The center's unlimited efforts has extended its operations to the state of Yemen, where it's providing humanitarian relief to the Yemeni people who are confronting difficult situation. The center's efforts helped bridge the gap of human necessities, which became clear in the aftermath of Yemeni crises. And by royal direction, the King Salman Humanitarian and Relief Center is deploying an airlift consisting of military and civil aircraft to transport all sort of aid and supplies for which the people of Yemen desperately need in all of its governorates. In addition to the air campaign, there is a land effort consisting of convoys of trucks loaded with food and medical supplies that reach Al-Wadi'a border to match the needs of the Yemeni people to ease the difficult conditions they are facing. Along with the land and air shipments, a ship called Darb al-Khair sailed from the Islamic port of Jeddah to the port of Aden, carrying over 3,500 tons of food packages and medical supplies. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia always strive to fulfill the prospects of the Yemeni people towards human development and resilience. Saudi Arabia is the first and only nation that has responded to the UN's urgent call for relief to the people of Yemen. $274 million were donated through the King Salman Humanitarian Relief Center to cover the humanitarian relief, and this was accomplished through a series of agreements that were signed with the United Nations Development Programme, the World Health Organization, the UNICEF, UNHCR, World Food Programme, Food and Agricultural Organization, and the United Nations Office for Humanity. These agreements provide funding for food and medicine, ensuring attention to children and mothers, and water sanitation in all the Yemeni governorates, as well as the proper shelter and rehabilitation of centers for people inside Yemen. The most needed aids that our brothers in Yemen lack is the shortage of medicine and medical treatment. More than 10,000 tons of medical supplies and medications to those suffering cancer and dialysis and other diseases that require immediate attention and swift reach to the Yemeni patients. To better follow up on cases of injured and patients transferred from Yemen to hospitals in Saudi Arabia, the center has assigned a team to follow up on their conditions and needed requirements to provide for their well-being. To return hope for Yemenis stuck outside their country, the King Salman Center has coordinated a series of flights that transported 12,040 Yemeni women, men and children, and returned them safely to their homeland, where smiles filled their faces, revealing their happiness to be back to their cozy homes when touching down the land and kissing the precious soil of home. It's a priceless joy.